Before you transition from designing with your smartphone to designing with your PC, this is one video that you will be so glad that you watched, because in this video I want to show you how I did it, how I transitioned from designing with my Technospark K7 phone back in February 2021 to now owning two different laptops, right? And this is one of the laptops here with me. I have it very close by. This is HP ZBook Studio G5, right? HP ZBook Studio G5. That's the laptop I just showed you. And I have one other laptop that I use. It's not currently with me. I borrowed it out to someone. The laptop is HP EliteBook 840 G3. That was the first laptop I got in 2022, and I got this in 2024. One crazy gaming laptop, and so I have so much to share with you that is going to help you to transition faster and transition better. All right, so let me give you a backstory. I started my design journey in February of 2021, like I already said, with a Technospark K7 smartphone. This smartphone was a terrible phone with a terrible battery, and the phone is actually cool, except for the fact that my sister, who graciously gave me the phone, I'd used it for about 4 to 5 years, about 3 to 4 to 5 years before before I got it, before she changed her phone. And then I was 16-year-old, right, at the time, and so I just graduated from secondary school, and so she gave me the phone, right, so that I would just have a phone. And so that was the phone I was using for some times. And the interesting thing is that the phone actually crashed totally about 2 months after I started my design journey, though not in my hand, because at the time I had already swapped the phone with my mom, so it crashed in my mom's hand. I had swapped the phone with my mom's Tecno Power 3 which she gave me because I was going to school, right? I was going to start my IGMB, and I needed a better phone, only for her to tell me about 2 months after that the phone I gave her had crashed. That was how bad the phone was. But then that was the phone I had. That was the only phone I had, and that was what I started my design journey with. In 2022, I'd gotten so much money, enough for me to buy my first laptop by myself. I was 17 when I got my first laptop, right? No, I was 18. It was just 1 month after I turned 18 in 2022, right? And then in 2024, I got my second laptop. Now I transitioned, I began my journey of transitioning, because the first thing you need to understand, even as a smartphone designer that want to transition to, or that is about to transition to PC designs, is that it is a journey, right? I know that design itself is a journey, right? But at the same time too, even transitioning from smartphone design to PC design is a journey. So even as you're about to transition, don't just dump your Pixel app, don't just dump your Canva, don't just dump your smartphone apps and say, okay, I want to only be using Photoshop now, I only want to be using Adobe Illustrator now, I only want to be using this and this and this and this now. No. As you are beginning to transition, understand that it is like it is a journey, right? So even as you're about to transition to your PC design, it's something that you should be able to combine both together, so that even as you are transitioning, if you get clients work, it's something that you can still do on your smartphone. Now, I think the only exception to this is if you feel like the availability of the smartphone design software are making it difficult for you to transition, in the sense of you find yourself always going back to them and being too comfortable with them that it now affects your transitioning. I think that at that point you can decide to let them go for some times, right? But I would not advise you leaving them totally just because you want to transition, because understand that even when you start using your PC to design, even when you start using Photoshop and all of these tools to design, you may still need the smartphone. In fact, you will still need them, right? Especially, let's say you are a student like me, you will still need them, because the reason why I love Pixel Lab, I love smartphone design so much, is the flexibility it gives. I can be in a class and then I have a client work to do, and I work on my client's work right there in class within 1 hour, and I'm done already. Maybe during, not when the lecturer is teaching, please, maybe during the short breaks in between classes, in between lectures, is something that I can just, I have a note here, right? I have a note here where I just highlighted some point that I want to share. All right, so in case, in case you see me look down. So, but the point is that as much as possible, don't let go of all of those your smartphone design softwares just because you want to transition to PC. I genuinely do not think it's a wise thing to do. I do not think that is going to be a wise thing to do, genuinely. So understand that it's a journey. That's the point. And so the first thing that you need to understand when it comes to transitioning from smartphone to PC design is that it is a journey, and you should not let go of your smartphone design software just because you want to transition. All of the smartphone design softwares will still have their place eventually, even when now I use Photoshop so well, but there are times where I want to create some designs and I need the speed. The speed I want to create the design with. In fact, it's something that even trying to open my laptop and trying to boot my laptop and trying to open Photoshop, that time counts, right? So it's something that I can just open my Pixel app. I already have the resources on my phone. I already have the app, I already have the font installed. So all I have to do is just to go to my Pixel app, open it, and then do my magic, and then that's it, right? And then one thing you need to understand is that once you are a good designer, you are a good designer irrespective of the software that you use, right? And like I always say, even though this is always a point of argument, so many people always argue about this, but I have a very unique perspective about the fact that a designer is what makes a good designer is not just about the tool, right? I've trained a lot of people that use Photoshop to design that come to me this was when I was really using smartphone. I've had people that use Photoshop reach out to me and like, oh, guy, what? In fact, there are people that never believed that I was using smartphone. There are people that never believe. I can list some of my friends that, myself and my friends, if I can give you names, right? That if I show you some of their designs, it's better than most Photoshop designers that you know, right? This is I'm not trying to say Photoshop is better than, or this and this is better than. That's not my point. My point is that what defines you as a designer, what makes you a good designer, is less about the tool. It's not primarily about the tool. The tool is important as much as possible. The goal of every smartphone designer should be to transition gradually and fully to PC design. Very, very important. But at the same time, understand the fact that what makes a good designer is not primarily about the tool. It is about the designer itself. There is something I teach my students in my mentorship class. The first thing, in fact, I've had 5 editions in like 2 years, because I only take 50 students per edition, and it doesn't come up regularly. But then one thing I always wanted, if you check the curriculum, the link to get the recordings of the last, because currently I'm not taking any student and I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon, but you can get the recordings of the last edition in the description box below. If you check the description box, you see mentorship class, not the self-paced course. You can also get the self-paced course though, but then the mentorship class, that's the 10 weeks mentorship class. All right, if you check the curriculum through the link in the description box, you see that the first topic or the second topic in the first week that I first deal with is the tool, is design the tool and the designer. It's a basic concept to help my students understand the fact that what makes you a good designer is not primarily about the tool. The tool is for execution purposes. I don't want to digress too much. But then, like I said, you want to transition from smartphone to PC design. Let me first say this, because this is very fundamental. If you do not know how to design with smartphone already, or if you are still struggling to create good designs with smartphone, nothing magical will happen automatically just because you are using Photoshop. Understand this fundamentally. Just have this at the back of your mind. Nothing magical. Just because you open Photoshop does not mean you will not begin to work in a new realm and in a new dimension of design. Nah, that is never going to happen, because the knowledge of design, it is very, like I said, it is first about you as a designer. So if you are a good designer, when I created my first design with Photoshop, I think this was in late 2023. No, I think it was in late 2022. Yeah, I think it was in late 2022. Yeah, actually. I think it was in December, around the end, January of 2023. And so I created my first design, and I think I should be able to find it. I will tag it along this video. You will see it. Or yeah. You can check out my Pinterest, or you can check out my Instagram pages there. But as much as possible, you should have seen it. I should put it somewhere around this video. It is better. In fact, I posted it. It is better than it is better than the designs of many people that have been using Photoshop for 4 years. Why? Because the guy that is handling Photoshop, even though that's my first Photoshop design, and the interesting thing is that I had not started engaging the courses I bought before I even created the design. So I created it just trying to find my way around the tools. I found my way around the tools using what's the name? Using YouTube, right? YouTube. Sorry, I missed that. Using YouTube, and then I now created the design. So I created it with little or no guidance, right? As touching Photoshop designs, right? So understand that the knowledge of design is universal. It is not bound by tool. Of course, if that is why you should not limit yourself to a tool. Even I personally will encourage that even designers that use Photoshop already should learn smartphone design. Honestly, if you are going to ask me, that's what I would say. I will actually encourage a designer to learn as many tools as the person can, right? Master a tool, then learn others. Just have ideas about as many tools as you can. Master a tool, then have idea about as many as you can, or you can even master more. But understand fundamentally that if you're already a good designer, it will be easy for you to transition, right? So my first Photoshop design was superb, was very amazing, because I already understood design principles. I knew how to use them already. I knew how hierarchy works. I understood repetition. I understood contrast, right? I knew how contrast works. I knew how layout works. I knew all of the visual elements. In fact, I've trained students, right? So it was easy for me to transition because I was already a good designer. I was using smartphone design, I was using just smartphone to design, but I understood what a good design looks like and how to create a good design. All I had to do was just to learn how to use some of the tools on Photoshop to be able to create a good design that I could already create. I don't know if you get it. So if you are not a good designer yet, or if you are somebody that you are just still trying your best, you are still trying to grow gradually, understand that fundamentally nothing magical is going to happen just because you carry Photoshop. Of course, we'll find some processes easier, maybe background manipulation easier and faster. Easier, right? In a way, because now you can use the blend, you can blend stuff, all of the stuff. You don't need to go to Pixar to blend. You can easily do that in Photoshop. You find many things easier, but it doesn't mean that anything magical will happen to your design skill just because you open Photoshop for the very first time. Then another thing is that understand that it's a process. The first thing I established was that it's a journey, right? So the process of transitioning is a journey. When you hear the word transition, it means it's a process thing. Transition, you are moving from one place to another. And one thing that is definite in the word transition is timing, right? Time. So you are transitioning. That's why you hear transition. It's a process. So understand that it's a process and don't beat yourself, right? So don't, just because you carry Photoshop for the first time, even whether you are good in with smartphone design or not, just because you carry Photoshop Photoshop for the first time and trying to create designs and created rubbish, does not mean that design is going to continue, right? You don't expect. Photoshop is even a very crazy tool. I've been using it for like 2 years now, and I still can't say I've mastered it. Oh well, personally, I've actually not been really into designing with Photoshop. Of course, I designed so well with Photoshop, but I've not been designing as much as I should, right? Because of some of my other responsibilities. But my point is that understand that even I myself, even after 2 years, I can't say I've mastered Photoshop already. And in fact, even some of the pro designers they can't say they've mastered every of the tools on Photoshop already. They can create amazing designs with Photoshop, yes. They can create mind-blowing designs with Photoshop, amazing. But they can't say they've mastered every of the tools in Photoshop already. So you have to give yourself time. When I talk like this, I'm not only talking about Photoshop, but I'm talking about same with Illustrator, right? In fact, I started using Illustrator before Photoshop, right? I started using Illustrator before Photoshop. And like I said, even my first branding on Illustrator was amazing. Like, it was really amazing. You can check out my Instagram page you can just scroll down to all those 2022. You would know from the caption I indicated that, okay, this was the tool I used. So you win, because then it was still shocking me, because I use Illustrator and all of that. But my point is that understand that it's a process. You are transitioning, and it will take time for you to get the hang of the tool, so that you don't punish yourself too much or compare yourself too much, or just give yourself the grace to grow, and don't put too much unnecessary pressure on yourself. Understand that it's a process. it is transition and it will take time. And I've established the fact that even in your process of transitioning, understand the fact that it does not mean that you now have to totally do away with your smartphone design apps. No, that will not be a wise thing to do, because even when you eventually master Photoshop, the smartphone design apps would definitely come in handy some way, somehow, sometimes. Now, one thing I will also encourage you to do is to get courses, like learn from people that have mastered it too. This is one way you can grow fast and grow well. I know YouTube is there, YouTube is free, you can watch YouTube videos, but trust me, it is unmatched. Like, it is unmatched with people that you can easily connect with and relate with, who have mastered it too. This guy talking to you, I've gotten a lot of courses on Illustrator, on Photoshop, on branding, on photo manipulation with Photoshop, all of those stuff. Illustrator, I've gotten different courses, right, that would help me master brand identity design on Illustrator, that will help me master photo manipulation on Photoshop, that will help me master even basic designs, like even things that I already know how to do, right? It just in a way, it's different when you are learning from somebody that you can easily ask questions, or that would even give you access to a community. It is just different. And I personally, I don't have a Photoshop course, right? So, but then I encourage it, right? I mean, there are so many persons. If you check around you, there are people that have mastered it that you can actually just reach out to and learn from, right? I mean, they are not scarce, right? That you can check out that are very good in Photoshop. Just check out their designs, and that would actually help you to determine whether you would be able to learn so much from that person or not, right? I've gotten so many courses. Currently have a lot of courses that, I'm currently off social media on a break, so that is one of my goals, to actually engage a lot of these courses and actually just improve myself, right? Because one thing I never joke with is growth. I never joke with growth. I am very passionate about growth, and in fact, that is what I also want for you, that you would continuously and constantly grow, and that is why I'm doing this. So as much as possible, learn from people that are already ahead, learn from people that are already doing amazing things with Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever tool that you want to begin to use, whatever design to maybe InDesign or whatever design tool you want to, CorelDRAW safe, right? Any of those PC design tools that you want to transition to, as much as possible, learn from people that have conquered some of these tools, because they can easily guide you better. You can still use YouTube. I still use YouTube till date, right? So you can still learn from YouTube channels and all of that. One should not replace the other. That's my point. So even though you can still learn from YouTube, I also advise that you learn from somebody that you can easily have access to, or that you can connect with, and that can further guide you, right? Then like I said, understand that if you're already a good designer, you are, regardless of the tool that you are using. So where this will come in handy is your transitioning process. You eventually realize that it will be easy for you to transition if you're already very, very good. If you understand what design is, what a good design is, and what it means to create a good design, and what it takes. If you understand the design principles and you already understand how to apply them, that is not going to change just because you start using Photoshop. Design knowledge is universal. It is just the expression using different tools that are different. But universally, design principles are constant. The design principle for someone designing on smartphone is not different from someone designing on Photoshop. The design principle for someone designing on CorelDRAW is not different from the person designing with Adobe Illustrator. All of these tools are there to actually help you engage your creativity better and help you do better. Some of these tools are industry standard tools that are required by the industry, but it doesn't mean that just because it doesn't mean that you limit yourself, or just because you are using a particular tool, then the design principles for that tool is different. No, there's nothing like that, right? Let me know if this video helps you in the comment section, right? I would love to hear your thoughts about this video, and I would like to know what you think, right? And let me know if this has helped you in any way, right? And I will see you in the next video.